Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. Good evening, sisters, but not just my sisters. Good evening, brothers. For the ones that will tune in tonight. Look, I'm Coach Tonia Lewis. I'm a leadership consultant. I'm a certified life and success coach. I'm also a certified trainer, corporate trainer, and I work with individuals and organizations to help them upscale their leadership, um, impact their mindset, as well as their service excellence. And in all these rooms that we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about life. We're going to be talking about the workplace. We're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff tonight. And we're going to be talking about why we hurt each other. Why do sisters hurt one another? Why do we actually hurt each other? And we're going to have an honest conversation about that tonight. But before we dive into the conversation, I'm going to give Miss Coach Lucretia Shaw the opportunity to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about herself before we dive in, you guys.
Yes. And it looks like my live is only on me. I don't know why. Am I on? I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. Well, no. Well, wait a minute. Hold on, sister, before we get into this thing. Because every time I set my social media on public, it's showing only on me. And I don't know why it's showing only on me. Let me take a look.
And my service has been acting up crazy.
Hold on, because I know it went to friends. Hold on. Because I need somebody to hear this. I don't need it to be on. I don't need it to be on only me. We probably gonna hop out and hop back in. What you think, Coach Tonya? Are yours on public?
Yes, mine is showing public.
Okay. Well, maybe it's something
what we
on my
can't.
end. I don't know what's going on. Hold on, y'all. It's always something.
But that's all right. The conversation will.
It will. Well, maybe if we can keep going, and then I can go back, and once we end the live,
what we'll do, we'll go out and come back in.
You sure?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Let me leave. I'm gonna let you stay on there.
I'm gonna go out for a minute, you guys, but she is definitely coming back on, right? So we can have this conversation. I can't do this conversation without her. Look, we talk a lot about empowerment. We talk about empowerment publicly, but privately, right? Whether we want to believe it or admit to it or not, sometimes there's tension, right? So tonight we want to spend some time talking about why is it so hard for us as women, and especially, and I can speak on my culture, right? Why is it so hard for us to come together and support one another and genuinely treat each other the way that we want to be treated? So while I'm waiting on Coach Lucretia to come back in, you guys, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I'm excited about this conversation. When I came up with this topic, it was just so dear and near to me because we are all we have, right? And if we can learn how to put aside petty differences and work together, then guess what? We can get so far ahead. So look, you guys, Coach has made it back on. I think she got her technical difficulties under control. So
I don't know what
introduce yourself, girl.
It's still on only me, but that's okay. I'm actually streaming on other platforms. So once I go back in and you end the live, I'll be able to go back in and make those changes. But that's okay. As long as we live in public on your wall, they're going to get the message anyway.
Absolutely.
They're going to get it anyway.
Ain't nobody mad but the devil.
Ain't nobody mad but the devil. Okay, I'm on live right now. Look, y'all, y'all gotta know I got grandma do this too, okay? I got grandma do this as well. I'm gonna say grandma.
You are grandma, girl. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, listen, guys. First of all, it's Tuesday. I want to thank you so much for joining us on tonight. I am Coach Lucretia. I'm the founder and visionary of Lucretia's Kingdom Legacy, where I'm actually, God is really doing something, building in the quiet, building different engines, where we're going to be most definitely providing professional writing, notary services, publishing, faith and faith and finance mentorship program. And also, too, I want to talk about the impact arm that I'm actually building. We're in the building phase right now, not looking for monetary donations or anything like that, but I'm actually looking for partnerships and sponsorships to actually build this impact arm called Destiny Protected Initiative. That's going to be taking care of young girls and women, providing personal hygiene products, sanitary products, because I really, I'm looking for really focus on dignity and impact and community impact. So listen, God is doing some really great things in this season, and I'm just glad for this Sisters in Collaboration as well. God is getting ready to move some things. And listen, yeah, Tonya, look. I can't hear you.
Well, that's awesome, girl. I'm excited about what God is about to do in your life. I don't know why we having so much technical difficulty tonight. The enemy, honey, and he ain't gonna get in. We're gonna have this conversation tonight. But I just want to open up and just say this, you guys. Tonight is not about calling women out. I want to be clear about that. Tonight is not the night we're calling anyone out. It's about calling us up. Mm-hmm. And when I come up with this topic, I wanted to empower us as women. And I'm going to speak on my culture because I am a Black woman. Mm-hmm. And I want us to start lifting one another up genuinely and sincerely, right? We may not agree on everything, but we do have one common goal. We are women, and we are strong, independent women that know how to go out there and get it, that know how to provide, that know how to stand in the gap when necessary. But I want you guys to know that this is not a space for shame. This is a space for shift, right? And some of us, if we be really honest, we have been hurt by women. Some of us have been hurt by women, and some of us have hurt women, whether it be intentionally or not intentionally, right? And some of us have experienced both. But if we're going to talk about leadership, legacy, healing, and power, we can't skip this hard conversation, because I want to say this, Coach. The truth is, we can't build strong communities while we're secretly competing with each other, right? We can't empower little girls while we're tearing down each other as women, and we cannot pray for elevation and still operate from insecurity. So tonight, you guys, we're not pointing fingers. I'm not pointing fingers. And I know Coach Lucretia is not pointing fingers, but what I want us to do is hold up the mirror. We're holding up the mirrors tonight. And the question becomes, are we ready to see what's really in the mirror? Are we ready to see what's really looking back at us in the mirror, right? And I want to ask you guys, and I'm going to start it off in regards to this, because let's start off talking about competition and collaboration, right? Because I'm going to say this, Christian, I'm going to let you expound on it as well. When we're talking about competition and collaboration, the question I have to ask the audience, and I ask myself all the time as well, who taught us there was only one room for us? Right? You hear as a child, they'll say, well, that's my pretty child, that's my smart child, that's my this child, that's my that child. Who's taught us that there can only be one of it in the place, in the mix, right? So who's taught us that behavior, right? Because I think that starts breaking down the process, because if it's only can be one pretty one in the family, you know how the old saying, that's my pretty child there. That's my smart child there. That's my child. I know, but that child ain't gonna do too much, but I know this. But what if we stop labeling, right? Imagine if we stop labeling and let them know that, guess what? All of you are beautiful. All of us are smart. All of us are powerful. All of us in our own right has the same thing the other one. You see what I'm saying? So let's talk about competition and collaboration. And I want to talk about it from a place of, because this not only happens in our everyday life, this happens in the workplace. I've seen it, where we're competing with our counterparts for positions and power. And so we'll quickly throw each other up under the bus, when in actuality, if we took time to get to know who we were working with, we actually can learn something from that particular individual. So what are your thoughts on that? Why do we downplay another woman's win? Why do we
Ooh,
why do
ooh,
we
ooh.
why do we downplay another person's win, but you expect them to be so excited and so, encouraged and ecstatic about your win? Why do we do that?
Woo! Look, you don't open up the door with some
Pandora's box,
fire.
honey.
You
I want
don't open you don't open up the door with some fire. But I want to say this too, because just like Coach Tonia said, and before I get to speaking, um, like she said, this conversation is not about the blame. It's about freedom, ladies.
that's it.
Because when we heal what hurts, we stop bleeding on people who didn't cut us.
That's right.
Because I even learned in my own life that unhealed pain doesn't stay quiet. It shows up in our tone. I thank God I never had a jealous bone in my body. I thank God for that. I thank God that I never been in competition with anyone. I've always wanted to see other women rise. I've always wanted to see other women move forward, because what I help you with won't stop my shine.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I wanna piggyback on what you said, and I want to dig a little bit deep into this, Coach Tanya, because a lot of people don't really understand what collaboration really means.
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration means I don't need your lane to run in mine,
Absolutely.
right? I don't need your platform to build my purpose. Just like Coach Tanya, you got so much stuff that you're doing. And
Absolutely.
we both have similar things that we're doing, but we're in alignment. Not only that, I don't need your season to delay mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the truth of the matter is this: God doesn't recycle callings,
Absolutely.
He custom designs them, right? So I want to share something when it comes down to with a competition mindset versus a kingdom mindset. Now, on the contrast of it, Coach Tanya, competition says, if you win, I lose. Collaboration says, if you win, we all rise, right?
Right.
So there's no threat in someone else's obedience when you're securing your own assignment.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing: we got to be secure in our own assignment. You never know. This just for an example. If I'm writing a book and I'm publishing books, right? But then here you are over here, you got a different assignment, right? You may be doing workshops or other things. Why we can't collaborate on that, right? See, I've learned, and I'm gonna shift the focus, but I'm gonna stay on the same topic. I learned to stop asking, like, who's getting the credit, or start asking who's getting the help, right? You got to be able to understand of the truth of the moment is that impact outlives recognition. Coach Tanya, sometimes we don't resist collaboration because we're prideful, right? Sometimes right. We resist it because we've been burned by partnership before. But mm-hmm. You don't allow being burnt by partnership to stop you from operating in your assignment, because everybody is not the same. Right. Healing doesn't mean avoiding connection. It means choosing it wisely, right? So right. This is where the rubber meets the road at, because I want to ask the audience out there and anybody out there that's watching this, ask yourself this question: where in my life am I protecting a position instead of pursuing a purpose? Because that's important. Absolutely. That's important when it comes down to collaborating. Or who do I secretly see as competition instead of a potential collaborator? You secretly, and I made a post one time, Coach Tonia. I say, you know what? If there's somebody that's in competition with me, they got to understand that I'm not even racing. I'm not even racing. So ask yourself this question instead of looking at a person secretly competing with this person don't even know that you're competing with them.
Absolutely.
Instead,
Absolutely.
instead, ask yourself, what would partnership look like with this person if I trusted God with the outcome?
Absolutely.
That's why I said this is distinguished between competition mindset versus kingdom mindset.
Absolutely.
And to any sister, out there, that you may feel that you may have done everything alone, maybe to keep your place, I want you to hear this, that your calling isn't fragile. It doesn't need guarding. It needs growing.
Absolutely.
And listen, we got to get into the habit of saying, I don't compete for space. I collaborate for impact. Coach Tonia, I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you help women recognize when God is calling them to partner instead of push forward alone?
Well, one of the ways you can recognize that when you're in alignment, it doesn't feel so strenuous.
Okay.
When you're in alignment, it doesn't feel so strenuous. It doesn't feel like a headache, right? It flows smoothly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as you were saying about what you do, we basically, all of us, majority of people that doing what we do, doing the same thing, right? But what you do can interconnect with what I do. And if we're in alignment and we're not competing with each other, it won't seem as if either person is, how would I put it? Well, it's getting ahead, if that makes sense, right? But when you in alignment, everything starts lining up, and you'll be wondering, oh my God, that click. It's just like a puzzle, right? You'll be able to easily see, look at the puzzle, and be able to interlock the pieces without it frustrating you so much. That's collaboration, right? But when we going into collaboration, we got to have an open mindset about who we are collaborating with, because to be honest, you can't collaborate with everybody. And that's okay, right? But what I tend to do when I'm looking at somebody that I want to collaborate with, I'm checking off boxes. What is their character? Who are they as a person? What do they talk about? What is their conversation like? What do I see visibly? And God, give me the discernment to see what I can't see visibly, right? We have to ask God to give us that hindsight, that eyesight, to be able to see past the fleshly part of it, right? Because if you don't, you can easily tap into something that's familiar. Right. And a lot of times, because we are hurting, we want to see the next woman hurt. And a lot of times we hurt women before we hurt men, because we always say a hurt woman will hurt. We hurt ourselves before we hurt anybody else. Why is that? Who told us that you can't shine with somebody else? Right? Who told us that we couldn't? So when you're talking about alignment, you have to be very intentional when you collaborate and align with somebody. Like I said, me and you, I don't know you, personally. I met you, and that's not in a bad way. I'm not saying it in a facetious way or anything like that. But we talked a couple of years back, and we were just shooting it through inbox. And then all of a sudden, we got in each other inbox. I don't know who said something to who, and we said, "Girl, let's go and talk." Because I felt like God had something for us to talk about. God wanted us to talk about conversation that people think about, but they won't speak about. Right. We won't talk about us. Why do we hate each other so much? Why do we compare each other so much? Why are we so misaligned, right? As women, and I always say, I can speak on me as a Black, my culture. We're not in alignment because who did we listen to? What patterns did we learn, right? That has caused us to stay stuck back in that trauma of what they said we could do, how we see ourselves. Where did that start from? And I think personally, it started from singling out, segregating within our own community of who is who and what's what and what they're capable of. Why can't we just make it a broad spectrum? Everybody is capable of doing the same thing and not put labels. And so we segregated our own sisterhood. We've segregated our own sisterhood because there only can be one of this and one of that and one of this. But who sets the standards on what that looks like?
Right.
Who sets the standard of what that's supposed to look like? And if we being honest, all of us at some point have felt threatened, either directly or indirectly, by some woman without even knowing that you were a threat. Just by showing up, people are intimidated. But why is that?
Right.
The reason I think it is because sometimes we see what's in that person that we are looking or seeking for in ourselves, but we don't know how to transition what I wasn't given to what you got, right? And so we start battling amongst each other when we actually should be locking arms and figuring out, hey, sister, what can I do to help you elevate? And when you elevate, I'm excited because I know by default, by me helping you, I'm going to elevate. When are we gonna change that dynamics, right? That makes sense.
Oh Lord, that make a whole lot of sense, and I want to dig deeper because I got some core truths. I brought some core truths to this because why do we tear instead of live? I want to talk about the unhealed part of it, right? Because Coach Tonia, I've learned that most tension between women, it isn't about personality, it's about permission. Permission we feel we never got, permission to dream, permission to rest, permission to be seen without having to prove ourselves. The truth of the matter is this: when a woman has had to fight for every inch of her life, and sometimes, right, she doesn't even know how to share space, only how to survive in it. I want to break this down all the way down to somebody that may be dealing with this inwardly. Because here's the wounded beneath of the reaction. Some of us learned early that love was limited, right? You got attention that was limited. You got opportunity that was limited. So when we see another woman being celebrated, something inside whispers, if she's chosen, I must not be. But what if her win isn't your loss? What if it's just your preview?
Absolutely.
And here's the identity of it. I sat with this question, and I thought about this when you came up with this topic. I said, you know what? I want to ask the women out there to ask this question to themselves. Am I upset with her? Or am I grieving the woman I thought I'd be by now? Sometimes the ache isn't jealousy. It's mourning a timeline that didn't happen the way we prayed it would. Right. We're going to dig deep to the root because, look, we got to get down to the root of this because when we get to the root of it, then we can have a solution.
Absolutely.
See, when we tear instead of lifting, it's often because we're carrying versions of ourselves that never got to breathe. The creative part, the confident part, the carefree part, the woman who didn't have to be strong all the time, right? Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Coach Tonia, because you can't celebrate another person's freedom if you're still trapped in your own.
It's hard to do that. For some people, it's hard to celebrate because, and I'm going to say, and the reason I say it is because sometimes the first thing a person will say, well, they jealous of me. But you have to ask the question, is it really jealous or is it because, like you were saying, are they unhealed, right? Because a lot of times, Lucretia, we quickly label things as jealousy. Everything is jealousy. They hate on me. They don't like me. But I don't think all the time, Christian, that it's jealousy. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just unhealed rejection, right?
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just comparison. We
Mm-hmm.
never confront it. You know, people have compared us to this is how it's supposed to be. Instead of allowing people to find or figure out what works best for them. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's grief over opportunities that we didn't get, that we
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel that we were worthy of. And so some of it is because we don't feel like we worthy of love. We've never been shown love. And how dare she be loved? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where the comparisons start coming in. And instead of us processing it, we start projecting it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I want to ask everybody, and you guys can chime in, drop it, in the chat. I want to ask you something. Are you really reacting to her? Like
Mm-hmm.
Keisha said, or is she reminding you of you and what you thought that you deserve? Or have you ever, because a lot of us find ourselves, we misjudge women based on how we've misjudged ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've misjudged myself and characterized myself as, well, I never got it, I ain't there yet. Guess what? I'm misjudging her. How did she get there? What make them talk to her? What make them put her on program? What make them reach out to her? Why do they like her so much? Because we done already misjudged ourselves, and it's triggered something in us, right? That we start projecting on somebody else. And if we're being really grown tonight, because I'm feeling grown, and if we really being grown tonight, we have to ask ourselves, have we ever been the woman who hurt another woman? And it's hard to say, have we ever been the woman to hurt another woman? But we also got to ask the question, why? Why is it okay to hurt one another? What do we get out of hurting each other? Because it doesn't get us any further along, right? It doesn't get us any further along. So why do we hurt each other? And we're just posing that question because we have questions as well. And we're giving our thoughts on what it is, but we want to know, why do we hurt each other? And I'm speaking as a woman. What is it about us that we don't like so much about one another that we keep carrying all this trauma and bringing all these perceptions of it? Well, I know someone's going to say, yeah, she mistreated me. She said this about me.
Right.
But did she really say that about you? Or did someone tell you that's what she said? Did you hear it for yourself, or was it something that was told to you? So we got to ask those questions. Why?
Right. I'm telling you, because you know what? I had another question, because just based on what you just said, because I just want to go a little bit deeper with these questions, because a lot of times you gotta sometimes pause and then ask, who did I need support from when I had to be strong alone? Or what version of myself am I still waiting for permission to become? And when I see another woman win, what's my first internal reaction and why? Coach Tonia, healing starts when you stop asking, why wasn't I chosen? And you start asking, what am I being prepared for? Delay, we got to understand that delay doesn't mean denial. It often means development. So the truth of the matter is this: survival teaches you to guard, sisterhood teaches you to give. Survival says there's not enough. Sisterhood said there's room for all of us.
Absolutely.
You don't have to shrink another woman to feel tall. Right?
Right.
And the good thing about this is, and I want to give some encouragement. I want to inject some encouragement right here. To any sister that feels like life has passed her by while she was holding on to everybody else together, I want you to know this: you don't miss your moment. It's a timing for everything. Absolutely. Like you were built for a moment that can hold you. You're not behind, you're becoming. So I want you ladies, who's ever watching this live, just say, you know what? I don't compete with women. I complete the version of myself that I'm still healing into. But Coach Tonia, look, I'm gonna turn the curve. I'm gonna turn the corner real quick. How, I don't know if I just asked this, but you let me know. But how do you help women move from mourning who they thought they'd be to embracing who they're becoming now?
First off, in order to move
Like,
from
I'm gonna say this. Let me be more direct. Like healing before leadership, like doing the inner work, the emotional integrity, and influence without injuring themselves. Because I used to think even in leadership meant being the strongest voice in the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I learned that true leadership is being the safest space in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So if people don't feel emotionally safe around you, they won't grow. They'll just perform, right?
Right.
So how do you help those women move from mourning who they thought they'd be to embracing who they're becoming now?
Well, one of the ways I work with the women is to get them to identify.
That's good.
I think a lot of times, and I do a mirror exercise.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I've learned with us, we get up every day in the morning. We go and look in the mirror, but we go in to look in the mirror for a purpose. We go in there to put our makeup, put our wigs on, take them off, but we never spend quality time just taking time to really look at ourselves and examine who we are. And if you go and look in the mirror in the bathroom, you can't stand there for 5 minutes just looking at you. Just take everything off. Take your eyelashes off. Take everything off. And just spend some time. Look at you.
Mm-hmm.
And ask yourself, what is it about me that I like about me? Not what someone told me I'm supposed to like about me. What is it about me that makes me feel good or bad? Right? Because a lot of times we've been positioned to think that, like you said, we have to be at a certain place, but we've labeled ourselves without realizing we put labels on ourselves to cause ourselves to not function. So first thing, I work with them so they can become aware.
Right.
And then I get them, once they become aware, they write that down, because when you write stuff down, you will mentally be able to see it. And whatever you feeling in that moment when you're looking at yourself is valid. I tell you, it's valid. Right? And I had some women to say to me, I don't feel like I'm good enough. So if you feel like you're not good, why do you feel like you're not good enough? Was it learned behavior? Did somebody tell you that? Or was it you projecting stuff on yourself? Because sometimes we project stuff on ourselves because we're trying to compare what they have versus what we have. So the first look, we got to take a look at ourselves. What is it about you that you're struggling with? What is it about you, whether they give you a title or not, whether you got anybody in your corner, zone out them. What is it about you when you see yourself in the mirror? And once you identify that, now we can start dissecting it. How did I get here? You got to ask the questions. How did I get here?
Right.
What triggered that behavior of me feeling the way I feel? And once you dissect how I got there, when did I get here? And what is it going to take for me to get from there? And where do I see myself being? You got to ask yourself all the who, why, when's, what's, and where's, so that you can start moving in the direction that you're going. But I tell people all the time, personal development is a lifetime journey. I have people come to me, I want you to coach me for 30 days so I can personally develop. And I have to be honest with them. As long as you are living, maneuvering in life, you're going to always be working on yourself.
That's because right.
Every day you should be intentionally, strategically trying to learn something else about yourself each and every day.
Every day.
Whether that be good or bad. And then I get my ladies, I don't care what it is. This is me now. I put sticky notes up. That's my thing. That's my pet peeve.
Mm-hmm.
I got them everywhere, all over the refrigerator. Just
I
got
get.
right. That's my way of complimenting me.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get in a habit, today I feel fearful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday I was torn because I lost a loved one. I was hurting. So I write down, today I'm hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I question, why am I hurt? What
Mm-hmm.
is it about that hurt that is making me hurt the way I'm hurting? And then what is the solution to that? I went in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I found me a scripture. So when you write these things down, be prepared to give your own solutions to how you can fix those issues that you are dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do when I work with women, when I'm coaching them. First, you have to analyze the issue. You got to become aware of the issue. And then you got to work on it, right? By asking yourself those open-ended questions so that you can get the answers that
Mm-hmm.
you need to be able to help yourself. So that's one of the ways we'll work on it.
And you know what? That was good because I truly believe, because you broke it down so gently. And I want to add to that because when we lead sometimes without healing, we don't guide, like we guard. We
Right,
control instead of cultivating, and we correct instead of connecting. Even in leadership, unhealed leaders don't mean harm, but harm can still happen, right?
right.
So I remember I had somebody, that came to me. Um, and it was a serious moment. And she asked herself, she said, am I leading from my calling or from my coping?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we confuse strength with armor, but armor keeps people out. Healing
Right,
lets people in, right? So a lot of people, and I'm gonna say specifically women because I see this, and like I said, I'm not trying to bash nobody, but a lot of wounds come from being hurt in
right,
positions of trust, right?
right.
Um, even in leadership, you can get betrayed by teams,
Mm,
misunderstood in your role or overworked and underappreciated.
it happens.
Right. And even if you were wounded, whether it's in leadership or just in life, right? You can't heal by leading or acting the same way you were hurt. See, I want everybody that's listening out there to pause and also ask this question: when I feel challenged, do I become curious or defensive? Am I creating a space for growth or just protecting my position? See, healing doesn't make you weaker as a person, right? And I know Coach Tonia can agree with me on that. It makes you wiser.
Absolutely.
Authority built on humility it lasts longer than power built on fear. And let me say this, y'all. Whether you're a leader, if you're in a high position, whatever the case may be, because I'm speaking from all angles. Even if you got a title in front of your name, yeah, it can open the door, but presence keeps them open. One thing you don't have to do, and this is something that I had to learn, you don't need to dominate to be effective. You don't need to be loud to be heard, and you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. Healing is very powerful. You gotta be you allowed to be a guide and still be growing at the same time. A lot of people are healing from wounds, but you gotta be able to lead from wisdom. Coach Tanya, I want to talk about this part because I truly believe that this is very I want to dive into the work community. I don't think we talked about that part,
We ain't got there yet, but it's
and
coming.
and the home dynamics, right?
Mm,
Because I used to believe I could compartmentalize my life. I can be one woman at work, another in the community, and another one at home, right?
right.
But healing taught me this: who I am on the inside eventually shows up in every room I walk into.
Absolutely.
You don't leave your wounds at the door. You carry them into conversations, decisions, and relationships. right? So when
Right.
the precious goes unprocessed, it looks for a place to land. Like, and often it lands in the safest or maybe one of the closest spaces. Sometimes, Coach Tonia, I believe that we're kindest to strangers and hardest on the people sometimes who love us the most, right? You can agree.
Right.
I had to ask myself one time, you know, because boundaries are good. Am I setting boundaries to protect my peace? Or am I building walls to avoid vulnerability? Healthy boundaries don't push people away. They teach people how to love you well, right? So all of this plays a major part in what we're talking about because we're getting down to the root cause of it.
Absolutely.
Many of us was raised to be strong, not soft. Okay. Responsible, not reflective, productive, not present. So when you were taught to perform instead of process, your home becomes another workplace. And your heart becomes another job, right?
Right.
So I'm going to ask you this question because I want to hear your perspective on this as well, because a lot of times people are afraid to ask themselves questions like, what boundary am I afraid to set because I don't want to disappoint somebody? Me and one of my cousin, we was talking about boundaries today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and God has, oh Lord Jesus, this has been a season where setting boundaries is crucial for me. Even in my space in life, like what space in my life needs healing. Thank God I've gotten to that place of being healed and whole,
Mm-hmm.
and not just management. Peace isn't something that you find, right? It's something you
Right.
build. Conversation by conversation, boundary by boundary. I learned that you're not selfish for protecting your emotional health. That's, you are stored in it. See, God,
Absolutely.
oh Lord, God wants us to be good stewards, whether it's over our time, over our health, over our homes, over. You got to
Stewart.
be able to steward well, because your home is not supposed to feel like another battlefield neither. But what I'm saying to every sister that's care, whatever you do in the home, it's going to affect your relationships
Mm-hmm.
with people. All this plays a major role in what we're talking about. Like,
Absolutely.
you don't have to earn rest because you are worthy of it. So I want to ask you this, Coach Tony, because I want to hear what you got to say about this when it comes down to this deeper insight of the work community and the home dynamics. Um,
I think, and this is, and I'm just talking, I'm going to speak from lived experience, right? Because
like, let me ask you this, because I know you're a leader. Not to cut you off.
oh no, you're fine.
How do you help leaders and individuals recognize, like, let me see how to, okay, how do you help them recognize when they're leading like from pain instead of purpose? Like, what's their first step to realignment? Because it has to be aligned, right?
Right. Absolutely. For me,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm talking to a leader,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very quick. I ask a lot of open-ended questions, right?
Okay.
The best response you get is from an open-ended question that's an unexpected question.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ask my leaders, right? Would you want to be led the way you are leading yourself?
Ooh,
Would
good.
you want to be led by you? And would you treat you the way you treat everybody else?
Mm.
That hits on everything. That hits on your character. That hits on your integrity. That hits on that. Would you perform the way you expecting them to perform? Would you meet the expectations and the goals that you set out for them? Have you done it? So I ask a lot of open-ended questions because oftentimes when you in the workplace, and I've seen it because I've had to go around and train in the corporate space. I've had to go and open up locations and hire and fire people and position them and coach them and train them, right? And what I often see as I go around into these different organizations, and I'm just going to speak because I'm a woman, right?
Right.
I see a lot of us high performing women who are quietly burnt out and exhausted. Right? Now, you see the competence, but you see women in there with no confidence. But that's what they brought in the door. They brought that in the door because they haven't taken time. I'm big on inner work to deal with themselves, become more aware of who they are as individuals. So what they're doing, they're bringing the skill set, right? But they're bringing the brokenness in the workplace, and their brokenness is bleeding on the people that are trying to come there that are whole. And so now you're creating more broken people that were striving to be whole, right? And I've also seen women who are capable, but always second guessing themselves. You apply for the position, you got the position, you got the qualification, but you second guess yourself, right? When another woman comes in there, you feel like, oh, she's coming to get my job. That's a scarcity mindset. And I've also, Krisha, I've seen overachievement masking as insecurity. I see people that are overachieving, but they so insecure. Lord, if they ain't my friends, they ain't talking to me, they insecure about their work. So they always over explaining it, right? I've seen so many women, and I'm just speaking on women because I'm a woman, you guys. I see a lot of women streaking in rooms. They qualified to lead. Well, maybe they've been there longer than me. It doesn't make a difference of the tenure. Tenure has nothing to do with the capability and the capacity. Some people have the capacity to do the job, right? But because they've already talked themselves out of applying for the job goes to someone else, and now they mad because someone else got the job because they were unwilling to apply for it because they've been leaving themselves, right?
Right.
And I'm saying some of these things because maybe somebody can identify with some of the things I'm saying that I've seen in the workplace. I've also seen solid competition. Compete over work that ain't even yours. You know what I'm saying? Compete over work that isn't even yours. And I see where there's communication, like you were saying earlier, people laughing and playing with polite, but they lying. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen a lot of unresolved. What I've been seeing lately as I work with some of these organizations or companies that I go in right now, I see broken people that are trying to be coached by people. And these people need mental health people to come in and help to maneuver through the process, right? Because when they leave the workforce, they got to go home back to the same situations that they're dealing with. So they can't focus, right? And what do I see underneath that? I'm glad y'all asked. What do I see underneath that? I see the fear of replacement, number one. I don't have time to work on me because I got to meet the needs of my family. That's how family plays in the dynamics. I got to take care of my responsibility to my children. So now, because I've got the fear of replacement, and this is what some of these corporate, and I have these honest conversations with these corporations. The best people are people that you take care of. If you take care of the people are going to give you everything that you want. You got to stop putting people in positions, right? Broken, depressed. And some people are broken when they get in the workplace, Lucretia. That's a whole nother subject. But we get them in the workplace and we break them down. And that's not even the workplace. I'm going to say it's in the ministries, it's everywhere. We bring whole healed people in there and we break them down that they forget who they are and whose they are, right? And then it starts setting up a scarcity mindset. We start grabbing for crumbs. We start hustling and grinding and overworking. And overworking has become normalcy. Like it's a badge of honor to overwork. Who created that? Like the more work I do, I get bigger rewards. I get kudos. I get a bag of chips or something. Who created that? That is that is insanity to me.
Yeah,
that is insanity. And we what else I see underneath that? They start identifying their titles as them. They can't move outside their titles. And I somebody wanted to write something up on me the other day, and this man he was saying, "Well, tell me about you," and he said, "Well, I said, well, whatever you put down there, that's fine."
Right.
And the reason I say that, I don't lead from my title, and a lot of people say, "Well, I didn't know you do that," because if I tell you about my title, you're gonna hold me or grade me based on the title that I told you I was. I want you to get to know me. So
Right.
when you learn what my title is, you'll be connected and you'll get to know the heart of me.
Right.
And so I believe in leading backwards to get forward, right? It ain't about my title. That's my motto. I lead backwards to get forward. Because if you focus on my title, only thing you're going to see is my title, not the person I am, right?
Right.
And so when you get in these cultures, and I see it even in corporate, the competitiveness, cutthroatness, the I will cut your throat to get a position, right? And we're so focused on performance based, but we don't talk about healed based wholeness. And so in the workplace, a lot of people are basically in survival mode. They in survival mode because you got to go home. You got to come home. If you battling something at home, you fighting and fussing at the house. Then you got to come and fight and fussle at the job. Then you got to go and fight and fussle at the church. Then you got to go fight and fussle. You know what I'm saying? You can't find no peace. But how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? You got to start prioritizing what's relevant right now.
Right.
What's important right now. In the workplace, when I used to do the interview process, I bring people on, right? One of my things is I'm going to always go back and follow up on the people that I brought into the workforce. Why? And why that is so powerful? Because the person I met in the interview process is not the same person that's sitting at that desk a year from then. When you go in the workforce, and that goes for you, anybody, when you go and interview, they may interview on certain things. But without realizing, when you walked in there, your mindset was there. But if you are constantly in growth mode, you're not the same person that showed up at the interview process. You're a whole entirely different person. And so you find people mad at the workplace, right? Because they don't know how to move. They're waiting on somebody to ask them, would you be able to take this position? They're waiting on somebody to move them. You get what I'm saying? And so that is a part of the hurt in the workplace. So now they're mad. They're envious. How dare you overlook me? I've been here 20 years with you and you've never offered me that position.
Right.
Why didn't you apply for that position? Because no one ever went back and followed up on the manpower that they had to see if they were still functioning, see if they were still happy. And sometimes you have to go and you have to put them in positions where they can grow. But sometimes we set them up for failure in the workplace, Lucretia. I see it all the time.
Yeah. And you know what? This would bring me to reclaiming our power as sisters, right? Because women, like you just said, like even back earlier, we really got to be able to set strong boundaries without feeling guilty or becoming emotionally distant. I used to think power meant standing alone and proving that I didn't need anyone, right?
Right.
But I learned that real power is knowing you don't have to do life by yourself.
That's it.
Isolation, it makes you strong, but it just makes you tired. And God was showing me in this season, listen, I'm calling you out of survival mode, but I'm calling you to steward.
Right.
And in my mind, I said, ooh, because I used to be the person all the time doing everything, and it drained me. Like, I'm gonna break it down a little bit because we celebrate independence so much that we forget that interdependence is how communities survive. Collaborating, is nothing wrong with collaborating with the sister, because you can't do everything yourself. I learned even as a leader, and I had agents, I said to myself, I got it in my mind to where I want to see my team win. If I help them win, I'm gonna win regardless. It wasn't it wasn't about seeing other people succeed. Man, that's a passion of mine. Seeing other people win, that's a passion of mine. Like I said, I've never been in competition because some of us, we don't avoid sisterhood because we don't want it. You know, we avoid it because we've been hurt inside it. You got to be able to ask yourself, ladies, am I open to connection or just open to control? Trust, trust isn't built by proximity, it's built by consistency. Many women, I think Coach Tonia, learned to compete for space, love, and visibility in rooms where there wasn't enough safety to share. Like when survival is the culture, collaboration kind of feels like a risk instead of a resource. So, who, I'm gonna say this like this. Ask yourself, what would sisterhood look like if I wasn't afraid of being replaced, right? Or, who in my life feels safe enough to grow beside, not compete against it? Or what legacy are you building? Not just what image you're protecting. Collaboration isn't losing your voice, it's harmonizing your purpose.
Absolutely.
And what I learned, Coach Tonia, there is room for your calling, and hers too, and hers too, and hers too, everybody in the same season. Because guess what? Spotlights fade, strongholds last.
Absolutely.
I don't just build platforms. And I know you don't either, Coach Tonia. You build people.
No, absolutely.
We're not in the process of just creating moments. We're creating movements. So absolutely. I want to say this to any sister that's been hurt by other women and you choose solitude. I understand that your caution, it makes sense, but your calling still includes community. You need community.
You got to have a community. Absolutely.
You don't have to rush back into connection, but you just got to be able to stay open to healthy connection and be able to choose wisely. So I want to say this, and I know we're getting down to the get down to the end,
right?
But Coach Tonia, being able to help women start rebuilding trust and sisterhood after they've been deeply hurt in community spaces, I want you to piggyback off that, because even like from your work, as a coach and a leader, like what do you see? Ooh, I just love this conversation. What do you see the root cause when women start turning on each other instead of turning toward each other? Because my situation on that is because I see that a lot on social media. I see that a lot in different communities. Even sometimes you have people who say they want to collaborate with you, but then I don't know. I don't know. My instinct, it just tells me something different on certain situations. But I'm not gonna say a past situation where I trusted a person in an organization. Mm-hmm. And I say this: once trust is broken, mm-hmm. that's kind of hard to regain back.
It is.
It's hard. It's hard. And I went through a situation like this back in 2024 where my trust was broken. I thought we had a sisterhood in this organization because it was a bunch of women who portrayed to be this way. But there were some that were secretly competing with me and I didn't even know it. There were some that were secretly jealous and envious of my success. Instead of you looking at it in that way, you should have been learning from me. Not saying, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. We could have been building together. But when I lost trust with with my upline, because I really thought this person had my best interests at heart, in this sisterhood community. Um, it had me feeling some type of way, and I had to go to God about it. I'm gonna be honest. I had to go to God about it. I had to pray about it. I had to ask God to heal me, forgive. I had to learn how to forgive,
Right.
heal, and grow from it. But let me tell you what I didn't do. I did not allow that situation I went through in that setting to keep me isolated from building and connecting with other people and collaborating with others. That's how we got here.
Right.
God, because I didn't allow that to happen. Because, like you said earlier, we got to be able to choose wisely. We
We
got to
have
be able to discern, and that's why I'm so big on discernment in this season. Because discernment, you got to be able to test those spirits by the spirit, and if it's not aligned, it can't go. But I want to ask you, how do you help women, um, or anybody that you've encountered as a coach and as a leader, to really start rebuilding trust in sisterhood after they've been deeply hurt in community spaces?
Well, one of the ways that I work with women that I coach, I help them start telling the truth. That's one of the things that we don't want to deal with, because there's room for all of us, whether we believe it or not. And a secure woman will be able to walk in rooms secure.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the shift starts. But most women are performing strength, but they don't create, there are not enough place where women can actually be honest with how they're feeling, why they're feeling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times hurt women will hurt women. That, I mean, and that we hurt each other before we hurt anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We and so for me, I want to find out, what are you grieving? Not
Mm-hmm.
about what are you grieving about somebody. What are you grieving internally? Because some
Right.
of this stuff is internally, and you cannot help anybody externally until you deal with the internal wounds that they're dealing with. And alignment is internal before it's external. And letting them know it's okay to have weakness. We all have weakness, right? And weakness is, it doesn't mean that you're not capable, that you'll never be able to, right? It helps you identify who you are in the capacity or role that you're called to be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked them the questions. Look, what are you grieving? And I want you to be honest, because it's not for me. And
Right.
when I ask you the question, it's for you to examine what are you grieving?
Mm-hmm.
It could be anything. It could be anything. Mistreatment. Somebody lied on me. This. What are you grieving? And what are you afraid of? What scares you so much about you
Mm.
that makes you turn on you? And when you turn on you, you start turning on everybody else because you feel some type of way about you. So sometimes it's self-inflicted trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're harboring about ourselves. And when what we want to be within ourselves shows up in somebody else, we mad with them. But a lot of times people can't tell you why they upset with you.
Mm-mm.
They can't give you a reason. Why? Because it's something that they haven't taken time to dissect within themselves or analyze with themselves, bring themselves aware of them. And I also asked the question, what are you overcompensating?
Right.
What are you overcompensating? Because you can't shift anything that you're not going to confront.
Mm-hmm.
And truth is the beginning of healing. You got to admit that you got the problem to be able to fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though somebody may, because I'm in a space right now, I have strict boundaries, and I'm just being honest. But even though I have strict boundaries and everybody won't have access with me, that don't cut off the ability for me to be able to treat them with kindness, right? Be
Mm-hmm.
able to speak, be cordial. And if for some reason the person that I don't trust is working on a project that we happen to end up working on together, I know how to separate that from the common goal that we're working on and still be productive. But that comes from getting to a place where you're healed and you're whole. You see what I'm saying? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of us women, we doing a lot. There's a lot of, I see a lot of stuff on Facebook. A lot of women that got talent, they're talented, they're gifted in their own right. But I can't share your post because they gonna think what about this post or this. That's the mentality. And
Mm-mm.
we have got to change that
Got to get out of
mentality.
that mentality.
We've got to change that mentality because we got daughters that see sisterhood based on our lenses. They're looking through our lenses on how sisterhood is supposed to behave and conduct themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once we do all of that, I help them shift from emotion to purpose. What is your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Not Creature's, not Coach Lucretia's purpose, not my purpose. What is it that you are called to do? Right?
Right.
What are you called to do? So that's some of the things, and I'm gonna leave it there. But that's some of the things I do. I help them open up. You before we can get anywhere, we
Mm-hmm.
have to answer the hard questions. What is it, and why is it? And not blaming anybody. Well, they did this to me. They did this to me. Okay, I get that. But we're talking about you right now. What did you do to you to make you feel or assume that they were doing that to you if you've never had a conversation with them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Oh,
Right?
that's good.
If you've never had a conversation with them. So now you're assuming. And a lot of sisterhoods have broken down based on assumptions, not facts, assumptions of
Mm-hmm.
perceptions of what someone else has stated or said about that particular individual. And they don't even know that individual. I
Yeah.
have people that have come to me and said, "You're really not mean."
You ain't mean, Coach Tonia. You ain't mean.
People
You
thought I was
ain't mean.
mean because they say I look mean. I'm the sweetest. I promise you, I'm the sweetest person in the world, and I'm the nicest person in the world. I'm just very direct, and I have boundaries, and I don't tolerate a lot of stuff that is not productive. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a lot of I don't talk. I don't have conversations that are not productive. That's not elevating. That's not building legacy. That's not moving in the direction that I'm going. But I'm the
Mm-hmm.
sweetest person in the world, and I will help anybody. But in order for us to heal us as women, we've got to change how we see ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got to change how our daughters look at us as women. And the first thing our children say, oh, they can't work together. They'll be together for, people think they'll go and do a couple of things together, but you wait till next week. They fight. They don't like each other. She put on a outfit and she tried to outdo me. Maybe she liked that outfit. Compliment her on that outfit. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And if you like the outfit, girl, where you get the outfit from? I like that.
Yes. Yes.
Compliment each other, lift each other up.
Ooh,
This is what this conversation about, helping
that's
us
right.
rise up. Girl,
Mm-hmm.
I see your wig. Where you get that wig from? Girl, I tell you where I get my wig from. You know what I'm saying? It don't take away from me
That's
because
right.
you're gonna walk in your calling the way God has designed you to walk in it. And you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna get a different response. We're on this live right now. I'm gonna get a different reaction to what I say. You're gonna get a different reaction to what you say. It's not gonna take away from the conversation as a whole,
Exactly.
right? And once we start changing how we look at each other, our daughters will start looking at each other the same way. They'll start wanting to collaborate and build
Mm-hmm.
relationships, right? But it starts with us as women, right? And once we change how our sons view women.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're fighting against each other, guess what? They automatically know conquer and divide. We're divided, right? And once we change that view, we can change how leadership feels in every room that we go in. Because
Exactly.
I want people to understand. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, they perfect." Nobody's, baby. We not perfect,
Mm-mm.
not by a long shot. But in order for us to move and grow, we got to be honest. And for some things that you're assuming or perceiving, ask the. Ask the questions. I'm big on. I'm going to the source. I'm not going to go to three people to find out what I think you or you thought. I'm going to go to that particular page. And a lot of the stuff that we're holding against one another is really minute because we never took time to have the conversation. Well, I ain't got time to be going to ask her no questions. Well, if you don't have time to ask the sister, right? Scripture says you go to your brother, right? If you have an altar, you go to your brother, right? If you don't have time to ask the question, how do you know if that is really reality or your assumption or perception based on what you got secondhand? That could be the person God sent to be a blessing, to be help you fulfill your assignment
Exactly.
in this season. But you
Exactly.
blocked them off because you've assumed. I tell people all the time, you know, and some people are, well, I wouldn't work with this person. I wouldn't say nothing to this person. I'm a firm believer. I have to get to know that person. If that person hasn't done anything to me, I support. That's just me. I get to know people for myself because
Right.
once you show me who you are, now I know how to pivot. I know how to re-strategize. I know how to restructure and implement a new plan so that you don't have the access that you were granted, because having access to me is a privilege. And we all should feel access to me is a privilege. It's not a right. You're not entitled to access to me. If I give you access to me, that's a privilege. And we should cherish and nurture it. And
Yes.
in sisterhood, we should cherish and nurture one another.
That's right.
If I'm walking around and I'm down, you should feel my pain and tell me something that's going to encourage me and lift me up. Not go around talking about me. Girl, you know what she got going on? But that's what we do as sisters. And then we holler empowerment. That's enough. Then we holler empowerment.
Yeah, that's another topic there.
That's another topic. And I'm gonna leave that alone. But until we start building each other up, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna give it back to you. You know, ask yourself the question: who do you need to support instead of silently competing with? Who do you need to support instead of competing with them? And where do you need to heal instead of, hardening your heart? And ask yourself the question, you guys: what would actually happen? I sit and I think about that. What would actually happen if we truly decided there is room for all of us? What would actually happen if we sat down and we thought about it? That there's room for all of us. All of us are beautiful. All of us are talented. All of us are gifted. All of us are powerful. All of us are leaders.
Oh my gosh.
Capacity. All of us are able. All of us are willing. All of us can. All of us will. What if we spoke that in sisterhood versus if it's not my title, it's not right. If I don't get this particular person, it's not right. What if we truly decided that there is room for all of us? Because the shift is not going to start without all of us. It's going to start with all of us collectively working together. And division has no place in the kingdom. You can be you can know the Bible backwards and forward. You can be sleeping on it, chewing on it. But division is not going to enter
the kingdom.
Period. I don't care what they say. Right? But he did specifically say that you can set boundaries and you can limit your access to those that have hurt you, but you still got to deal with people.
That's right. Most definitely.
You still got to deal with people. And you'll get further along if you incorporate community. And that's what we build, community. That's what I'm about, building a community. This organization that I'm with, the Jonathan Daniels CDC and the John Robert Lewis Black Belt Process. That's what our organization is founded. We're building community. How do we change the social and economic justice within the community? How do we create self-sufficient individuals, leaders, women, men, children that can take care of themselves and not feel threatened by each other? Once we decide that it's time to get away from all this foolishness, we could grow and we'll have more. But what if And that's what I'm going to leave with everybody. What if? And I challenge everybody listening tonight. I challenge you. What if? I want you to ask yourself, what if, not what somebody else do, ask yourself, what if I did something different? What if I contributed to that? What if I went out there and did this? What if? What does that what if look like to you? I'm going to give it back to you, girl.
Woo, man, listen. That was, I hope everybody got something from this episode, because I want to leave you ladies and anybody that's out there listening. I want to leave you with this. Healing isn't becoming soft, it's becoming secure. Secure women, they don't compete, they collaborate. A healed sister doesn't fear replacement, she builds legacy. So to any sister that's out there that's tired, you're guarded, you're disappointed by other women, I want you to know this. Your heart doesn't need to harden to protect you. It needs to heal to free you. There are still some safe sisters out here. It's still some divine connections, and there is still community that won't even cost you your peace. We're not here to outshine each other.
Absolutely.
We are here to outgrow the pain that taught us to stand alone.
Absolutely.
Coach Tonia, I want you to agree with me on this. Sisters don't compete, sisters collaborate.
Absolutely. Sisters don't compete, baby. We collaborate.
Right. Y'all see this shirt? Black Girl Magic. Black Girl Magic.
Black Girl Magic. And we're only as powerful as our sisters and brothers.
That's right.
We are our brothers and sisters keepers. But look, reclaim your power, right? Mm-hmm. Reclaim your power, because we are individually different, but we're collectively one.
Absolutely.
We just got to get in alignment with that one thing that we all have in common.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to get in alignment with that one thing we have in common. What is that one thing that we have in common? We have to get in, we have to tap in that. Who we are collectively as a whole is what's going to strengthen our sisterhood. So look, you guys, I'm encouraging you guys to ask yourself the hard questions, right? Mm-hmm. Ask yourself the hard questions, because the shift doesn't start out there. The shift is going to start within. And are you ready to be a part of the shift?
Right.
What would you contribute to the shift? Let that baby alone. Let that baby talk.
You see her walk up in here. I don't like nobody walking in my office when I'm live.
Leave that baby alone. That baby probably heard something that baby needed to hear.
No. She look, I be like this. Listen, knock on my office door when you hear me talking.
Right. But look, you guys, this has been a good conversation. And I will say this again. This is not a conversation that we were trying to belittle. I'm all about uplifting people. I'm all about uplifting my brothers and sisters. I'm all about community. I'm all about how to create solutions that are going to be beneficial to us all, not just me. I'm all about love. I'm all about compassion. I'm all about working together, right? And I want us to understand we have the power to change the narrative, right? In our ministries, in our businesses, in our homes, in our lives. But the central focus, and I'm a very spiritual person, right? Mm-hmm. We have got to incorporate God in the plan.
That's right.
Woo. We have got to incorporate God. I'm telling you. And I'll be trying my best not to go, to get like that. But
hey, that's
God in the plan. And we cannot go and walk amongst our people divided, bitter, with hate in our heart. We have got to come together if we're going to change the narrative. And I know in our city of Selma, Alabama, we have got to come to the common We got to agree on one thing. And I know one thing we can agree on. We all love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And if we work from that, everything else will start falling into place.
Exactly.
But we got to focus on the central point. And the central point is God. That's who I reverence. I reverence God. And once we focus on God, everything else is going to be in alignment, because when you get outside of the thought of God and outside of the will of God, you're going to come back to the will of God. I'm gonna stop, because I get all happy, because it's the center is God. God is the family. Yes. God is the business. God is the community. We just left him. He's always been right there. We walked away from him. But if we can get together and agree on one thing that we do know, that we have faith and we believe in God, and leave it right there. So when you start thinking, oh, she's trying to backbite me, you'll think about, no, God is the focus. I'm focused on God. What would God do? And then things will start shifting and things will change. But we have got to get out from behind the walls, and we're going to have to hit the streets. We're going to have to, that's a whole nother, I'm sorry. But look, you guys, look,
I know we passed outside.
I get excited, because I know there, we don't have to be this way as women. We were taught this, and we were taught from what they were taught. We are still in camp and with this slave mentality internally. I can work with Coach Lucretia. I can work with any woman. I just got specific boundaries.
That's right.
And I have limit access on what I will entertain and what I won't. That doesn't mean I can't help you.
It has to align.
It has to align. I can't be out doing certain things that don't align with my morals and values and principles. But that don't mean I can't work with you.
That's right.
And once we understand that, then we'll be all right. But look, you guys, that's it for us. I know we went over 100, because we get to talking and we be running out now. But look, I'm going to say this to you guys. I don't know if you had anything else you want to say, Coach.
I already said what I had to say, you know.
What? Only thing I want to say, look, let's stop comparing. God has gifted all of us with talents, with gifts, with voices, with callings, with assignment. There is so much work out there that needs to be done. But if we stop comparing and stop competing with one another, we'll start healing wounds that we haven't even named, because God will come in the mix and he'll start doing the healing. But we got to stop. We have got to stop. So look, you guys, this is two sisters that decided to collaborate. We're on a mission. We're on an assignment. This has nothing to do with what I can get from you. This has nothing to do with our titles. We are strong women. That's our right. We are just strong women. But we appreciate one another. We love one another. Right? And we're walking this road, and we're going to walk this road together, you guys. So look, you guys, until next Tuesday. We'll see you with another episode of Sisters in Collaboration. I hope this has blessed you. If it has, share it, comment, and let us know your thoughts. And give us some insight that is going to help us, right? So as we're walking this journey, we can share what you said, because we believe in collaboration and listening to other voices that are always relevant. So look, you guys, until next time, you guys have an amazing evening. See you soon.
All right.